Hello, everyone. My name is Gitika Gorthy, and today I'm very honored to be interviewing a very special space champion, Miss Aastha Kacha. In her teens, Miss Kacha developed a strong curiosity about cosmology and space exploration. At the age of 13, she attended the Advanced Space Academy in Alabama in 2010 and won the Lunar Space Award, where she designed a refueling station on a lunar base. In her recent years, she has won international and national awards in design, which forged her interest in pursuing studies in architectural design and technology. In 2015, she studied in architectural technology, and in 2016, she was a scholar exchange student in Denmark, which was then followed by an internship in Uganda. In 2019, she participated in the International Conference on Environmental Systems in Boston and presented the architectural Martian Habitat project featuring architectural and technical solutions to the future possibility of living on Mars. Apart from her aspiration to become a space architect, she is a philanthropist through her NGO in Uganda, V-Nergy, and a traveler by heart and a mindfulness tutor by her soul. As an architectural concept developer at Mars Society of Canada, she contributes to artificial intelligent algorithm design, digital fabrication, and architectural solutions for the future inhabitants of Mars. I'm so excited to be able to understand her journey on a deeper level. Welcome, Ms. Kacha. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to conduct this interview.
Thank you so much, Gitika, for such a great introduction. I think you did a very great background research. Thank you for the introduction.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. But before we get into understanding your journey, because I know everyone has their own way of how they got to where they are today, first I'd like to know more about your typical day. What do you currently do and how does it run?
You don't want to know my typical day because it's super exhausting but super fun. So I start my day around 5 o'clock in the morning. I get up, I'm an early riser, and I believe that a lot of things can be done in the early morning. So I get up at 5, I go to the gym, I do some meditation, some yoga for like 5 minutes. I do meditation. I do like a blessing meditation. And then sometimes I do like 15, 20 minutes of yoga. And then I go for my cardio. And then I go to office around 8. I work until 6. Then I come home. And that is my full-time job that I'm doing. And then after I come back home, I cook my food and then I start with my own startup work. So I start around 6, 7 p.m. in the evening until 12 midnight. So I'm working like 18 hours a day because I believe that there is so much to do in this world and we are always running out of the time. So basically my day is like I always feel I wish I had 48 hours in a day rather than 24.
Yes,
So
I remember like in school, they would always ask you, what's the superpower you want? And I would always say to control time. It would be amazing.
yes, and prioritizing that what is important, how what should we start, it's very much important, and how we manage our time is also help us a lot to accomplish our most of the tasks. So and that's how we progress with milestones and deadlines. So
Yeah, definitely. See, it sounds like you keep yourself busy. So I'm excited, to understand how you got into space. But I also learned that you founded a startup, AAKA Space Architects, which is the first space architecture firm in Canada, which is really crazy to hear that it's the first one. So could you tell us more about the inspiration behind starting it and the purpose?
yes, definitely. So when I started my journey since 13 years long, 13 years before. When I was 13, I went to this NASA Space Academy from my school, and I'm from India. I was born in India. And then during that academy, we were asked, I attended this academy at Huntsville, Alabama Center. And during that academy, we were given a lot of different tasks. But one of the most exciting one was to design something on the lunar base. And my mom is an interior designer, so I had some background inspiration knowledge on designing. So I designed a fuel station because I thought that we might run out of the fuel while coming back to the earth. And guess what? I got an award for that. So that inspired me a lot to get into designing. And so I thought maybe if I pursue architecture, I will be able to design much in a better way. And then I was like, how do I differentiate myself from other architects? So I thought maybe I would like to become a space architect. But at that time, there was nothing like space architecture. It was just then 4 years before I came across a professional course in space architecture, but it was a very expensive course and I couldn't afford at that time. So I thought to self-taught all these subjects. So I studied system engineering, I studied space designing, aeronautics, astronautics, everything by myself. And then I was looking for a job because that was my passion. I wanted to shift to this full-time career. But because I was not a US citizen, so I faced a lot of struggle to find a job into space architecture. And there are not enough opportunities at this time. But I was getting a very high response, very good response, very positive output of my own research. So I thought maybe let me just do a small startup called AAKA Space Architects. So basically at AAKA is the main goal behind AAKA is to support this human settlement on lunar and Mars missions. And what we are doing is we are working on a very two crucial project. One is Fangari. It is a lunar habitat that is going to support this Artemis mission. And another one is Ares project. It is a deployable origami structure that can be used an intermediate shelter between a spaceship module and also this future 3D printing permanent settlement. So our team is working, we are quite done with our design phase. Then we are doing our cost calculation of this habitat from sending from Earth to Moon and to Mars. And then we are also going to start with the construction by the end of this year in India. And we are going to present that next year in Iceland for 3 months. It's like an analog mission. So it's like we're going to do 3 months of expedition where different people will be staying in and trying to recycle everything. It's like a proof to prove our concept of design. So we are very ambitious at AAKA, and I believe that there's so much to come into space sector.
I mean, first off, like I'm speechless. That was just so much information. And let me just say that is the best idea. So, personally, I am truly trying to do the interviews to show the unique careers that are out there. And personally, it's from my own experience. I started this because I was always interested in space and medicine, but I never knew that aerospace medicine was a real career until I started doing a lot of extensive research because I don't know anyone in the space industry. My family's not part of the industry. So really, it was a lot of trekking myself. And so I understand, like, when I hear space architect, you don't usually come up, that's not the job you immediately think of in the space industry. So I'm really glad that you're able to pioneer really almost starting the industry. I think that's really crazy. And the projects you're doing are absolutely amazing. And I'm curious, and as a startup, it's always difficult to do big, large projects. So how are you able to, get the funding, and how are you able to sustain your business to grow?
Yes. So this is a very good question because I think this is the question for a lot of people who are trying into getting into space tech these days, and to make it also commercialization because this is an innovation company. So it's not quite possible to design a profitable business model for the investors to show up. So what I did was in the beginning I was trying to fund AAKA from my own savings from my current job. That's how we were all doing it, and we are a team of friends. We were all friends, and we came together to build this project. So we were all kind of putting our own personal savings into it, and then we started writing papers like a journals, and we also started documenting all of the things that we are studying and about our project. And then we go to Canadian Space Agency. You apply in NASA STR funds. We applied there are a lot of different organizations where you can apply for funds for your space technology. And yes, and then once you are able to progress more and more into that, then you have this interest of personal investors, and that's when in the investors are like, okay, I want to do that, I want to invest into this technology. And that's how it keeps on growing and growing and growing. Also university tie-ups helps a lot because every university, you might be aware of this thing, every university has certain funds reserved for this kind of research based projects. So when we also collaborate with universities, we get some funding from there. When we collaborate with some scientists from CSA, Canadian Space Agency, that's how we get some help. More than money, more than monetary, is more of getting accreditation, and also making sure that whatever we are doing is technical and it's reliable technology. So peer review of professors from Stanford, from top universities, gives a huge different impact, and that shows our proof of our technology. And that's how we slowly we grow. But it's a challenge, and it's still a challenge for me.
Yeah, it's always like, starting something from scratch, with a group of friends and just doing it. It's definitely like taking that to the next level is very difficult. I can't imagine the amount of work and time and effort you might have put in on all of you guys. It's really crazy to see it actually taking off, and you guys are going to be presenting your work. It's really, you're probably so excited.
Yes. Before you jump on to the next question, let me tell you that there are no weekends when you are doing your own startup. Like people, a lot of times is people say that, yeah, you need to have this work and life balance. But let me tell you this question. I was very inspired from Elon Musk on this thing. That if you set a goal for a year, you will achieve that in a year. If you set a goal in 3 months, you will achieve that in 3 months. So and sometimes you have to. There is also I believe in this thing that if you try something, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. And so no matter what, you have to lose your relationships or your job, or you have to do whatever it takes to be there. You have to lose your mind, but just go in that direction. That is very important for
Yeah,
any startup.
Yeah, that's so inspirational. And I'm curious, did you have, where did you have people, your friends, maybe the people you didn't work with, or your family kind of being like, oh, don't do this, like stay where you are, or were they very supportive of your journey?
All the time. That is also a very good question because so my family is very open when it comes to education and when it comes to growing career. They're very self supportive. But yes, when I told them that I want to become a space architect, my parents were very skeptical, and not just my parents, but everyone I met, they were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you are starting with space architecture. When are you going to Mars? We don't know. When are you going to the moon? It's never happening. It's just conceptual design." They never believed. So many people never believed. But then it is to perceive your vision, you need to first believe in your own vision and in your own self, and not just believe but also have faith in it. And that's what kept me going and kept trying. And now when I founded this AAKA space architecture, and now we are working this in real life projects, like it's a real scale project, then everyone is like, oh, how do you do that? I want to learn from you. Oh, can I join? Maybe please show me something. So that's when we start gathering, because, and of course not just me but most of the people will have this kind of a question. They will be skeptical because maybe they don't have that vision that you have in your mind. So it is, so how do you gain that confidence and interest from others is showing your vision to others. And then everybody is, and once you start growing into that career field, everyone is being very supportive. So we are getting there.
100%. And I can definitely relate with that. I mean, whenever I tell people, I feel like aerospace medicine is even more frequent or more commonly known than space architecture. But still, whenever I tell my teachers or classmates, I want to go into this, I want to do into this research, they're like, is that a real career? I don't know if you can live. I don't know if that's real. And so I understand what you're saying, and it's so important to show them the action, show them the result, and your vision to them. And I think that's great advice, regardless of if it's a space career that someone wants to go into or trek their own path. I think just showing your vision rather than just listening to all those complaints. I think trying to just show them what your vision is very important. So that's very inspiring. So I think thank you so much for sharing that.
Mhm.
So I'm also curious to learn more about your international studying experience. I mean, personally, myself, I've always wanted to go to different areas of the world, and you had an international studying experience in Uganda. So could you tell us a little bit about what you did and some experiences?
You very smartly picked up this question, international study, because oh my god, I never planned. I studied from three or four countries. I will share that, but I never really planned of studying from this many places. Very honest. So I was always very focused into my education because I know that for me, my education is only thing that will get me forward. I didn't had like my parents doing that super wealthy things, so education was the only way. So I went to study in UK. I did my first year over there, but then I was a big traveler at the same time, and I was exploring different options. So I got this Erasmus exchange program scholarship, and then I had a chance to study from Denmark. So I went there. I liked there so much that I took a transfer. Let me tell you, it's there are a lot of challenges. One of the biggest challenges, you cannot save. Like when you're studying when you're studying internationally, and when you're always migrating, you cannot save much. You have to be so adaptive to different cultures. Because when I moved to Denmark, not many people knew English, and there was no like there was no community. Also, when I joined this VI universities, it was like an isolated village kind of a thing. So there was not I had to literally translate everything. If I go for grocery shopping, I had to translate. I also face some cultural differences, and then also some language barriers. There are challenges. And then after staying 1 year over there, also the education system was totally different, because in UK the education more was like theoretical. We have to study from books, lot of books, and I was so lazy to study this law subject. We had a law in architecture, so boring. And then in Denmark, everything was very practical, like no books. There was not even enough lectures. Half books were in like a Danish, and then we have to give a very practical exam. Like we have to show that this is our client and we are building. So I struggled few times, but I could cope it up. And then the third thing, then I went to Uganda for my internship, because at that time I had a goal that I want to also build affordable homes. I want to also make our earth a better place, and I also want everybody to able to afford a home, because you also know that it's so expensive to buy our own home these days. So I went to Uganda, and then I started doing an affordable housing research. I was studying different materials, I also collaborate with government to help them out. I was also going on site and helping laborers, helping people to build their home from the scratch. But yes, so while staying there, I saw that I living in Africa literally transformed my life, because at that time I thought that I'm so blessed because people were really suffering, kind of very so loving, so kind, but also there is so much to look forward to. So I started this not-for-profit organization because it is so important to also give and not just to consume. We I can always grow just by growing others. And so I started this thing. Then after I finished I again went back to Denmark. I finished my studying, and then I was looking for jobs, and I got a job in Canada, in Ontario. And so they suggested me to study a short course to understand the building regulations and codes. So I came here again. I was working and I was studying at the same time. Again, different culture. Even after moving to Canada, I moved to 3 to 4 different places. So I think that the world is really beautiful. No matter, when you search on Google that world news today, you will, out of 10 things, you will come 9 things negative. And so most of the times you will also come 10 things negative. So we come to this conclusion that the world is very challenging, world is a difficult place to live. You have to face this, you have to face that. But at the same time, world is very beautiful. There is so much to see and to learn. And I think it's very much important to experience and go out of your comfort zone. You can never grow in the comfort. And yeah, that's how it is. You learn, you grow, you evolve, and you help.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I've always wanted to travel. I wanted to always, go to different countries and experience that because I remember when I did my first event through Ignited Thinkers, it was with a orphanage or a home in India, in South India. And when I worked with those kids, I realized that I was in like my own little bubble, and I didn't realize the number of like students out there who really want to do something in space, but they didn't even know how to do anything, or they thought the only career option was to be an engineer. So it's really crazy to like kind of come out of your bubble. And if you travel countries, travel to different places, I'm sure you have extensive knowledge and like a different perspective when you're trying to solve problems, which I think is so critical.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and so what is your role? We already kind of talked about this, but could you explain your architectural Martian habitat project, Mangala, to us in further depth? Because I was reading about it. It seems really cool. I mean, it's, the thought of living in Mars or a different planet is very exciting to all of us. So could you explain more about it to us?
Yes. That was the first project kind of that I entered into space architecture. And that project was a very big challenge because I was present in this project at ICES conference. And I think I was the only one out of 1,000 people over there who were from the space. And I was like coming from a design background, and I had to present to astronaut Daniel Burbank. So that was another big challenge. Presenting a space project, not being from the space, to an astronaut was huge challenge. So I did a very intensive research on that. But this is a conceptual project. It cannot be proven at this stage. It's Mangala. It is made from so that habitat had like a 3 layers, and I used the Martian concrete for the outer surface layer, and then I also used some materials like aerogel insulation, aluminosilicate as a glass, and carbon fiber, and then high density polyethylene plastic. I researched some different materials, and we had like 3 floors in that habitat. So basement floor was for astronauts to sleeping quarters, and the washrooms, because on Mars there's a big radiation. There's a lot of radiation, so we want to save our astronauts crew from protect them from the most of the radiation part. So I designed this on the basement floor. Then on the ground floor, I had a medical emergency lab at the entrance. We need to also have like an airlock, which would pressurize and depressurize the indoor temperature and atmosphere. So we had an airlock, we had an EVA room where astronauts will prepare and dress up to go out into the perform the extravehicular activities. And then we had a greenhouse. In greenhouse, I designed hydroponics, but now I'm also aware of different subjects called aeroponics. There's so many different ways to grow food now in space. And then we had a biology lab as well. So now at AAKA, currently in my current research, we have exactly identified what kind of experiments astronauts will be performing. And so what to perform these experiments, what kind of equipments we would need, and then how to accommodate that volume and those equipments into our own habitat. So now we are getting it more intensive. And then on the top floor, I had this communication lab where we will be communicating. So it was a kind of a design conceptual phase, but I got a very positive response from my renderings and project presentation. So that was about it.
Yeah, that sounds very, very exciting. There's just so much unknown about trying to live in a
Yes.
different planet and trying to research and come up with the best solution is always very exciting. And definitely, I've been doing a lot of research on space radiation and the impact it can have on a human body. So I'm personally very interested in that topic as well. So it's really cool. Um, and so, what is the most exciting project or research that you have worked on? If you had to pick one, did we already talk about it, or is there something
Picking one project from your career is like picking which child you love the most.
else?
This is very challenging because I'm
Every
no
single person I've interviewed said that.
because any project you work on, you put your love, your time, your energy into it, and you always want to have some outcome. But yes, I think one of the most, I can say not one of the most, challenges excite me a lot. Like the more challenges I face, the more exciting I feel. So the most challenging project that I'm tackling right now is the Aries project, because doing the system engineering is a very big challenge. Like exactly, I don't have enough background on mechanical engineering and this stuff, and I'm literally getting into this, what equipments we need, like how does this life system supports work, how does this water recovery plants work. This is all technological based. So I'm really facing a big challenge over there. And also we are going to start constructing this habitat. So even that construction, raising that amount of funds, and then constructing, so we have friends who are going to like do the labor work into our habitat. We are putting our own soul into that. So even that construction phase is quite a challenge. And also not just construction, but at the end of, so this project is like at the end of, we design, we prove our concept, we don't want it just to be like there, we want to move further with it. So what do we do next with it? That's also another big challenge. I think we are in space, so anything related to space is a challenge because everything is so uncertain and unknown, and then you have to find that pathway from impossible to the possible. So
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of space is that's how the innovation happens. For example, developing GPSs or different technology we have here on Earth was because of the difficulty that there is in space technology and trying to innovate and kind of come up with a solution to something that's impossible. So I definitely understand that. It's definitely tracking your own path, and so I can see the excitement in that. So, diving a little bit away from your current projects and into more of your story, you did mention how you joined the academy, which got you into the space industry and got into space architecture. However, how did you want to join the academy, and what was a moment where you were like, "This, I love space. Like, this is what I want to do." Was there ever a moment like that that got you into the industry?
yes, NASA inspired me a lot because when I went to NASA Space Academy, it was my first abroad trip as well. I've never been to abroad before that. So that was my first trip, and I saw like what I'm as I mentioned before that I like challenges. And when I went to this academy, when I saw what is happening like in actual, and that is when you visit NASA, that is when you see the actual space thing.
Yeah,
Like you literally see the actual space thing.
yeah.
So when I saw International Space Station, what kind the level of work that they are doing, I got so inspired that I want to stand out. I want to do something different. But then the thing is, space is not just for me a subject of study, but it is also kind of, I believe in it. I don't really follow any religion or anything like that. I believe that universe is the, I'm very much scientific person, and I believe that universe, we are all made from universe. Like if we break down our particles, our bones and molecules and everything, it's how the universe was made, and the whole universe is inside of us. So I also have like a spiritual belief into it. So whenever like I pray this trees, I pray this universe, and I believe in that. So whenever I do that, I also feel like, oh, I want to do something to be there, to go there. And it's like a spiritual journey and also a professional journey, walking hand by hand. And that's why even if I want to quit so many times, let me tell you this, so many times I feel like, why I'm doing this? I have such a nice paying job. I can start up my own terrestrial architectural firm and do these projects. Why do I have to get into this and stress me out so much? Not stress me out, but like do extra hours of work. But then I'm never able to quit because the root of this plant, the root of this ambition are not external, they're internal. And when you have something internal, that's what keeps you going. And I'm never able to go from away. And
Yeah,
now
and
I'm so much into it that, and then I was also able to inspire people around. I was able to show some directions to my surroundings, and people were also like learning a lot from my own experience. So I thought that if I can make other people's life better, if I can inspire them in their career, why should I not and do the hustle?
And I can say, like, just talking with you, I don't know, for like 20 minutes or something, I'm super inspired by your words and actions because I can relate to a lot of the things that you were saying, especially with, starting into something that's like new and, not having that background exposure into the industry and kind of figuring out your way. I mean, not only me, but I'm sure many other students out there can relate. I feel like it's hard to go into the industry where it's new and others or don't even know about it. Like space architecture is a very new industry, and I feel like it's not as popular as something as common as becoming an engineer. So I feel like it's inspiring to see how you gave up that luxury life and instead you chose to have to follow your passion. So staying in like a comfortable position. So I think that's inspiring itself and is a testament to like who you are as a person. And so did you have obstacles? I mean, I'm sure you did, but like, did you have any obstacles throughout your journey that, whether it be because you're a female, whether it be because you're starting your business or your culture, your identity, any of those obstacles? And if so, how were you able to overcome
Obstacles, oh, they are every day. Like,
them?
I think space tech is something that you have to make obstacles as your best friend. Like, obstacles, they're every day. I face not okay. I face obstacles in terms of my nationality, in terms of my gender as well, because most of there is, we are doing this thing, women in STEM. We want to have more and more women in STEM. You might be aware of this thing. We don't have enough women in. It's all men, kind of men dominated, and to enter into that, there are a lot of different factors that affect that thing. But I think when you have a powerful word to say, everybody wants to listen. So I don't care much about that part. And also the financial, because it's so easy for me to make money if I do an earth architectural project. But getting that resources and the trust of the people into a different space tech, which I cannot prove for a year until it's done, it's also another challenge to win that trust. And when the people put their resources into it, to stay confident with their resources and also to work on that is a very big responsibility. That is another challenge. Also cultural challenges plays a very important role, because now I, so let's say if I was in states, if I was in US, if I was born and brought up in Houston, I would have such everything around me, like all the resources, everything is so close by. I would have met so many people into that. But one challenge that I also faced is to make those important connections into this industry who are very experienced and are willing to help. So I also have to present themselves that who I am, what I'm doing, and how is this going to benefit our society. So that is also another challenge. Like everything you are doing in space tech, you have to like constantly prove it that you did. But I think that uh, everything is possible. It's just that, and first it needs to be in our mind. And so many times in my personal life as well that I never thought I would be able to quit, but then I do it. And I think everything has a way out. So, and I think so many times I even feel like I have self-doubt questions as well. Just like everyone, I have self-doubt that will I be able to do it. But then what at that time you do is you imagine your highest vision. So sometimes when I feel like that, I close my eyes and I think that okay, I am one of the leading space architects in this world. I am doing this project. You have to see that visualization very, very clearly. And when you see that visualization for 5 minutes, that's when you again get back to work. You cannot stop yourself for more than 5 minutes. Keep going is very much important. Obstacles will come and go little by little, step by step. There's a very good saying that if you cannot fly, you run. If you cannot run, you walk. If you cannot walk, you crawl. But whatever you do, you must keep moving forward. And forward should be the only direction.
That's yeah, I've heard of that quote before, and every
Yes.
time I hear it, it's like I'm hearing something new again. It touches somewhere because it's always like, when you are faced with an obstacle, it's so easy to just go in a different direction. So I think it's really important to always keep perspective and have like change your mindset when you face an obstacle. I mean, whether it be something as simple as you didn't do good on a test or like a class or something more real world problem, everyone has their own set of obstacles. I think changing your perspective is important in the positive direction.
Mhm.
So
And also, like, how do you perceive those things? Because it is in our mind only how we perceive. Do we take this as a challenge, or do we take as an obstacle, or do we take that as an opportunity to learn and to grow. So
Yeah, it's very important to keep that. It's so easy to like change and fly the other direction and be like, okay, you know what, this doesn't work. I'm gonna move on. Because I remember I was interviewing someone. She failed her physics class, and she was like, I don't know if space is for me. She could have easily just turned the other way and went to another career, but she stuck with it, and now she's working at NASA. So it's really
wow.
crazy. Like, yes, it's always good to have that vision. And so, was there like a mentor, an internship role, or like a volunteer role that assisted you in kind of achieving your goals?
Yes. So before starting this AAKA, for a very long time, I was doing volunteering work in research, space agriculture research. I was when I was studying. So always like there, monetary comes later. First, if something is very important to you, you do it even without any self-interest. That is, I believe in. Even at AAKA, we never believe that we want to make money out of it. We just want to give a service. And whenever we have a very positive outlook towards giving a service and making something better, I believe that all the forces in the universe, in the nature, will help you out and push your goal forward. That is one of the law of the nature. So I always got support. So I was doing when I did this Mangala project, when I did this, I'm also at this Mars Society of Canada, which is an organization for Mars space research, like an advocacy group. So even that, I'm all doing all the volunteering work and I'm learning it. And that also helped me a lot because that also helped me to uh, study study and do some research projects. And also I met so many different people and we could share the knowledge. Yes.
And I think you need to always have surround yourself with that support system in order to, learn more about not only the industry, to make better connections and to achieve your goals. Definitely agree with that. And so my last and final question for you, now that we're able to understand your journey as well as your amazing work, is what advice, which you've already given plenty, but just one final piece of advice you have for young students regarding their pursuit of passion in the STEM field, space industry, something that you wish you knew or someone told you when you were in high school or college?
Yes. So many times I feel like I wish I never wasted my time when I had time. So I think it is for these days, youngsters are like so much distracted in a way. There are very few that I came across who know that what they want in their life, what is their goal. Most of the children are dreaming of getting to university, like then going to clubbing and enjoying life a little
Mhm.
bit. But I feel that each of us has a very strong uh, capability to achieve whatever we aim. And it's not just me, you, or someone else, but every one of us. And to identify that inner capability is very much important because it is very much important to have a purpose in our life. We are not animals to eat and to sleep and to live. We are the most intelligent social animals in a way. So I think that first thing, to have a purpose in life, and after having that purpose in your life, believe in your purpose, keep faith in yourself, and third is everything is within you. Never waste time, but not too much, and stay self focused. Spend time in alone. These days when we are distracted, we jump onto the social media, or we go to our parents, or we go to the friends when we feel sad or depressed or anything like that. But so often we fail to spend time with our own self and identify that what is the problem with me, why I'm behaving this way, what makes me happy. Learning our own self will help us a lot to learn about the world. So I think everyone should at this age spend time with themselves, identify what they like, explore everything, no matter what. Explore every subject, go everywhere, learn, and then start defining a clear purpose.
Yeah, that's remarkable advice. I mean, something very similar to what my parents have always raised me with, which is always like have that purpose when you're doing something. It doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you have that purpose and you know what you want to do. And I think that's so important for, right now with social media, it's so easy to like not do anything with your life other than school. So I think
Yes.
it's so important to just maintain that. And I want to thank you so much for taking your time, sharing your journey and story. I know that I was inspired, and I'm sure many others who are out there will definitely get inspired by your story, and I can see your charismatic personality kind of coming through the screen. And I want to thank you so much for your time. I had a great time interviewing you.
Thank you, Kritika. I think you are doing very well at this such a young age. I saw your previous interviews and you have been doing super amazing. So good luck with all of your upcoming interviews. And if there is anywhere I can help you out, let me know for sure. And thank you for this interview.